Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and crack open what is literally the ultimate archaeological cold case. How on earth humans built a massive structure designed to last for eternity? I mean, the Great Pyramid of Giza was the tallest building in the world for nearly 4,000 years. It survived earthquakes, thousands of years of erosion, and time itself. Yet, despite standing right there in plain sight for over 4.5 millennia, it stubbornly refuses to tell us exactly how it was built. So, today we're going to sift through the hard evidence, completely bust some persistent myths, and examine the absolute cutting edge theories trying to solve this ancient puzzle. To really wrap our heads around the impossible scale of our scene here, consider this completely staggering number. The Great Pyramid is made up of over 2.3 million individual stone blocks. And we aren't talking about standard building bricks here. These are solid limestone blocks weighing, on average, anywhere from 2.5 to 15 tons each. If you laid them all end to end, the sheer volume of material required to build a literal mountain of stone is almost beyond human comprehension, especially when you remember we're talking about a civilization that didn't even have the wheel yet. And if that wasn't wild enough, consider the sheer weight of the largest granite roof beams found in the king's chamber. These aren't just heavy, they weigh up to 70 tons each. 70 tons. And here's the real kicker. Those massive pink granite slabs weren't even quarried locally at Giza. They were carved, transported, and elevated from Aswan, which is over 500 kilometers away down south. How they hauled 70-ton blocks 300 feet into the air without modern machinery is an engineering flex that still completely boggles the minds of modern architects. Section 1, the scene, the impossible scale. Now, you might be thinking they just had some alien blueprint, but the truth is the Egyptians underwent a massive trial and error process spanning decades to perfect their engineering. It's like a giant puzzle they slowly solved. They started with Djoser's step pyramid, which was essentially just stacking flat tombs on top of each other. Then came Pharaoh Sneferu, who tried to build a smooth pyramid, but he built it on unstable sand with an angle that was way too steep, giving us the famous bent pyramid when it started to sink and warp. But he learned from his mistakes. He successfully built the Red Pyramid on solid bedrock next, laying the perfect architectural foundation for his son, Khufu, to finally build the Great Pyramid. It really was generations of evolving human ingenuity. Section 2. The workforce. Who actually built them? For centuries, thanks to Hollywood movies and ancient historians like Herodotus, a lot of us just assumed slaves built these monuments in some grueling army driven by a whip. Well, modern archaeology has totally rewritten that script. We can immediately dispel those myths. The evidence shows this was actually a prestigious, highly organized national project. It worked like this. Agricultural workers, whose fields were flooded by the Nile for several months a year, would dedicate their off-season to building the pharaoh's tomb. They were organized into gangs with names like the Friends of Khufu, working right alongside a permanent core of elite, highly skilled masons. The proof is quite literally in the dirt. Excavations at Giza by archaeologist Mark Lenner have revealed a highly specialized town where thousands of these permanent and seasonal workers were incredibly well housed, fed, and medically treated. They found the oldest bakery in Egypt, massive barracks, and tons of animal bones proving these workers were feasting on premium beef, literally the best meat available in ancient Egypt. Even more amazing, skeletal remains in their tombs show they successfully set bone fractures and performed surgeries. These were respected citizens contributing to the ultimate glory of their nation, for sure not abused captives. Section 3. The logistics. Moving mountains of stone. Okay, so knowing who the workers were is great, but we still face a logistical nightmare. How did a civilization without wheels or iron move millions of heavy rocks? If you've ever tried dragging something heavy on dry beach sand, you know the sand immediately piles up in front, stopping you dead in your tracks. But there's a wall painting in an ancient tomb that literally shows a team dragging a massive statue on a wooden sledge, with one guy standing at the very front pouring water. It turns out pouring just a little bit of water was their genius physics hack. Scientists recently proved that the right amount of water creates these tiny capillary bridges between the sand grains. It doubles the stiffness of the sand and completely eliminates friction. And as for getting those stones from hundreds of miles away, recent discoveries confirm that ancient engineers actually harnessed a lost branch of the Nile as a direct, high-speed water highway right to the construction site. In 2013, they found something called the Diary of Merer, the oldest known papyrus in existence. It basically operates like a 4,600-year-old timesheet. It details exactly how a team leader shipped high-quality white limestone from quarries across the river, navigating a super complex system of canals right up to the base of the Giza Plateau. They essentially let the river do the heavy lifting for them. Section 4. The Method. The Great Ramp Debate. All right, so sliding stones on the ground is one thing, but elevating a 70-ton granite beam to the king's chamber is a completely different beast. Most Egyptologists absolutely agree that ramps were necessary, but what kind of ramp? Traditional external and spiral ramps actually pose massive logistical and geometric impossibilities. Think about it. A straight ramp with an 8-degree slope, which is the steepest humans could actually pull blocks up, would have to be over a mile long to reach the top. That would require millions of tons of material. You'd literally be building a second mega project just to build the first. And a corkscrew ramp wrapping around the outside? That would completely blind the surveyors who are trying to maintain the immaculate 51.9-degree angle of the pyramid's corners. Plus, physical evidence still clinging to the neighboring pyramid of Khafre shows that large external ramps likely couldn't have survived to the higher elevations anyway. A super detailed photographic survey of Khafre's peak looked at the specific, tapered stones up there. The pattern proves the builders laid the outer casing blocks from the center of each face, moving outward to the corners. And you can only do that if the entire face of the pyramid is totally clear. If a massive external ramp was leaning right against the face, it would obscure the center, and they'd be forced to build from the edges inward. Section 5. Radical Alternative Theories. Redefining the blueprint. So if you can't build a mile-long ramp, and you can't wrap one around the outside without messing up your straight corners, you have to start thinking outside, or rather, inside the box. Architect Jean-Pierre Houdin suggests a totally radical idea. The true ramp is actually still hidden inside the pyramid today. His model proposes that the bottom third was built using a smaller external ramp. Then they dismantled that ramp and used those exact blocks to build an internal, zigzagging tunnel acting as a ramp for the rest of the height. He even thinks the mysterious Grand Gallery inside was originally just a massive counterweight track used to haul those 70-ton granite monsters upward. Let's look at another wild theory that builds a completely different picture. Some material scientists argue it would have been way easier to just carry buckets of wet ancient cement up the pyramid rather than dragging massive solid rocks. Proposed by chemist Joseph Davidovits, this looks at microscopic anomalies in the highest stones. The idea is that instead of hauling multi-ton blocks all the way to the top, workers just hauled buckets of a watery limestone slurry, mixed it with lime and salt, and poured it right into wooden molds. Honestly, it perfectly explains how those top stones fit together so incredibly tight that you can't even slide a single razor blade between them. And then there's this controversial but absolutely fascinating new study that proposes something else entirely. What if they used water pressure to float the heaviest blocks upward? This hypothesis suggests that ancient engineers built a highly sophisticated system of dams and underground conduits to capture the Nile's floodwaters. By directing this water into a massive central shaft inside the pyramid, they could raise and lower a heavy wooden platform, almost like a hydraulic elevator. They'd be lifting massive stones right up the central axis with a mere fraction of the human labor. But look, to remain completely impartial here, we have to acknowledge the skeptics who point out one huge, glaring issue. Despite all these brilliant models, we simply do not have definitive proof. Whether you like the internal ramp, the ancient concrete, or the hydraulic elevators, the reality is the ancient Egyptians were phenomenal record keepers. We have their poetry, their tax receipts, their daily grain inventories, but we have never, ever found a single papyrus blueprint detailing the actual construction of the Great Pyramid itself. Section 6. The verdict. An unfinished ancient puzzle. As we wrap up this explainer, it's clear that while we've cracked a lot of the logistics, like the workforce and how they moved stones across the sand, the pyramid just refuses to surrender its final secrets. And modern tech keeps proving there is still so much hidden behind those walls. In 2017, physicists actually used cosmic rays, muon radiography, and detected a massive, totally inaccessible chamber positioned directly above the Grand Gallery. No human has stepped inside it for over 4,500 years. Is it just a structural relief chamber? Is it the true, undiscovered burial room of Khufu? Or does it hold the exact construction secrets we've been searching for all this time? So the absolutely crucial point to take away from all this is how much of human history is still waiting in the dark to be discovered by you. The Great Pyramid stands as a 4,500-year-old testament to our potential, reminding us that with enough time, crazy organization, and sheer willpower, humans can achieve the impossible. But what do you think? Were they pouring concrete, spiraling up the inside, or floating massive rocks on water? Let that question sit with you as you look back at our ancient past. Until next time, keep exploring.